Yo everyone, Hazy here. Hope you guys are having a great day or night so far. The topic we are doing today is Muichiro vs Obanai, both at their best to a certain extent, of course. And you guys will find out what I mean once I get into the scaling today. So let me get right into it. Starting off with Muichiro scaling, as you know, it's AP, speed, and then hacks is how my criteria goes. Now onto Muichiro's AP, starting off with his AP. Muicho's AP itself should be on Kokoshibo's level due to him being able to stab into his body. Although I do think it is on Kokoshibo's level, I don't think Muichiro could cut off Kokoshibo's head. As we see, he's able to take Gyome's spike ball to the neck. That was even able to knock Muzan's head clean off, which is just crazy since that would mean Kokoshibo's neck would be sturdier and more tough than the durability of Muzan's head. Although does not matter, I am really just yapping right now because I can conclude with my AP scaling right now, and that is that Muichiro's AP would be slightly lower than Kokoshibo's durability since he's able to pierce him but most likely not cut his head off even with the extra AP where a blade would give him. Now, let's go into Muichiro's speed. Muichiro against Kokoshibo at first gets absolutely toyed with and treated like a child, but his speed is also complemented by Kokoshibo regardless of how he is just outspeeding him. Kokoshibo giving him praise is something to be noted, meaning Muichiro is fast but got matched up against the worst opponent possible. Kokoshibo then blitzes that Mui and stabs him, Jesus, stabs him, taking him out of majority of the fight. Skipping to after Muichiro finally frees himself and patches himself up, he comes into the battle and saves Sanemi from dying to Longsword Kokoshiba's attacks. Meaning he reacted to this. Now it is possible it was just Muichiro running beforehand, which would make it more of a travel speed feat than reaction. But assuming it is reaction, that's a big feat, and the reason for this is because he unlocks see-through will, boosting his reaction time and precognition. But then Muichiro goes on to then react to Longsword Kokoshibo, although Kokoshibo notes that he barely dodged his techniques, but nonetheless he still dodged them, meaning he can react to Longsword Kokoshibo, but this is all for his speed scaling. Muichiro's speed would be slightly above Longsword Kokoshibo, attack speed are at least slightly above Kokoshibo's Moon Crescent slashes now. Now we'll go over his hacks and abilities very quickly, which consist of the Demon Slayer mark, See-Through World, and Red Blade, and that's all of his relevant or important hacks and abilities to keep in mind. Let's move on to Obanai scaling. For the entirety of the Infinity Castle arc, funny enough, Obanai is damn near featless. So to scale his AP, I will have to go research in Sunrise Countdown arc, which is the arc where he does majority of his feats, or does anything in that matter in general. Now, starting off first, although he heals immediately, Obanai can still cut through drugged Muzan's neck, meaning his AP is enough to cut through Muzan's durability at that point. But due to his fast regen, he just heals immediately. For an example, Mitsuri confirms she hits Muzan but notices there are no cuts, which is most likely because Muzan's regen speed was so prominent and fast, it just perception blitzed her. Moving on further, Obanai is able to kick spots of Muzan on several parts of his body, which hindered his immediate regeneration. And shortly after that, Obanai is able to turn his sword bright red, which would increase his AP to the point where now he does not need to sever or to use his kicks to sever Muzan limbs. With all of that, I can conclude that Obanai's AP should be above that version of drugged Muzan, right? So let's get into his speed. Starting off in Infinity Castle, Obanai is able to have attack speed on par with a fatigued Margiu, but of course, we don't know the distance of how far they were or would be from Muzan, so we can't be too sure if this is even truly valid or not. So let's go to the feats that should be valid. Obanai can somewhat inconsistently react to first drug Muzan in his base form, and then once he receives the mark, he is able to react consistently to the first drug Muzan and even go as far as to off guard him, and of course gets taken out like the other Hashira. I would get into his second drug feats, but I don't see the point since that would be a weaker Muzan anyways. Also, I did just mess up my words. I didn't mean to say off guard. He kind of off guards him, but in my opinion, it's also a blitz as well because I think Muzan, my interpretation of it is I think Muzan saw him and he just couldn't react fast enough. Now, I'll quickly go over Obanai's hacks and his abilities, which would consist of Red Blade, the Demon Slayer mark, and that's all. Yeah, that's all. Now, before you Iguro fans start pressing me, right? Just hear me out. on why I did not let see through road, it is because he only does this for one panel and does not access it again after that. While Muichiro didn't just glimpse into it, he fully unlocked it and used it. Obanai only tapped into it, he didn't even use it, so what would entail that he could even tap into it again or use it in general? I will leave that up to you guys as the viewers to answer, but it's time for me to get into my conclusion of their scaling and who I think would win and how the fight would go. So first, I think AP goes to Muichiro due to the fact that if we are talking, or if we are taking this into account, like a real fight, Obanai would not be able to use her blade, as when he does achieve it, he can't even see due to him gripping with all his might, which made him so concentrated that he started lacing oxygen or lacking oxygen. Jesus, man. So in a real fight, he just would not be able to get this off against Muichiro without getting attacked or killed, while Muichiro, on the other hand, with his body severed, is able to turn his sword bright red, so he should be able to replicate this feat at his full power and achieve this feat without being stunned or losing lack of oxygen like Tanjiro when he turns his blade red. Now, with speed, I think two of them are pretty relative in terms of combat speed. Or Obanai might be slightly above due to him being able to blitz first drug moves on once he unlocks his mark, while Muichiro just barely dodges Kokushiba's attacks. But taking see through the world into account for Muichiro, even with the relative speed, he should be able to predict Obanai's attacks and react to them without that much difficulty, since I don't think there is a stat gap between the two. So I do think Muichiro would win, just due to his hacks and advantages. I just think he would end up overwhelming and eventually outpacing Obanai, especially with the Sun form under his belt. And if Obanai even tried to unlock Red Blade in the fight, Muichiro would most likely kill him right there. Gotta be realistic with the conditions, guys. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments on how it would go. And with all of that, I'm out. Still not used to really writing the script like that, so that's why I keep butchering my words. It's a work in progress. My reading skills need a little bit more work. But appreciate you guys for tuning in. Catch you guys next time, man.